It's been a pretty ropey time for Lou Elizondo, especially over the past kind of, few weeks after he presented that now infamous image in front of Congress and in front of the House of Oversight Committee, right? And off the back of that, a lot of Lou Elizondo's credibility, or what was left of his credibility, has been questioned. A lot of people have stated that they've been able to debunk the image that was shown. A lot of people have said that, he is a disinformation agent, that he's been put into the field to kind of deter people after being, presented as this really reputable whistleblower. And yeah, the timing of him coming onto the scene, of course, as well, was very interesting because he had a book come out. And then it completely blew him into the limelight. He went on this whole press tour. He was on Vetted. He was not Vetted, sorry. He was on with Ross Coulthart. And then he presented in front of Congress in the 2024 UAP hearing in front of Congress. And then the UAPDF congressional hearing as well, right? But there have been a lot of people that come out to basically say, don't trust this guy. Because the most recent one is a man called Richard Doty. Now, Richard Doty is a former Air Force and Special Investigations special agent and is known for his role in UFO disinformation campaigns. And he's recently been linked to claims about Lou Elizondo. Though the context of the veracity of these comments are contentious, we're going to break it down today. So it all kind of started with this whole clip here that came out with regards to Richard Doty speaking on Lou Elizondo.
I was offered a job in 2019 by the United States Space Force where Lou Elizondo worked to work with him in disinformation, and I said, not no, but hell no, I'll never do that again.
Did Lou bend the knee?
Worked for him. I don't know what he did. You'd have to ask Lou.
Okay.
It's pretty damning, right? This guy was offered a job by the Space Force where Lou Elizondo actually worked to work with him in disinformation. Now, whether this is genuinely true or not is, up to general debate, I suppose, because obviously a lot of people have come out to try and discredit Lou, and this is a typical kind of response for whistleblowers. Is it happened with David Grush, for example. People came out who allegedly worked with David Grush to try and discredit him, even though they never had any dealings whatsoever with the man. And this is very typical. So we need to take what's been said with a pinch of salt, because of course ultimately, without Lou actually confirming or denying the claims, who knows? But they are, in May of 2025, posts on X surfaced of Doty accusing Lou Elizondo of engaging in misinformation or disinformation, right? So it was quoted as saying that he was offered a job by the Space Force to work with Lou Elizondo on disinformation efforts. However, subsequent X posts indicate Doty may have retracted or clarified this, with some people stating on May 14th of 2025, a day after these clips resurfaced, that Doty said, quote, I personally don't know if Elizondo is a disinformation agent. I wouldn't say that, suggesting the initial claim was either exaggerated or completely fabricated. And again, this is kind of where we need to take things that are being said with a pinch of salt, because a lot of people will clip these things and throw them online because obviously it's going to garner a hell of a lot of attention, especially when you consider Lou Elizondo is a very controversial figure right now. So he's a very easy target. But without the initial context of, the actual full clip or full scoops of things, it's really hard to know. Additionally, other users over on X who claimed to be a TikTok live panel with Doty asserted that in May 15th of 2025 that Doty made the comments denying any AI manipulation of the video, while other users supported this, citing the panelists' confirmation. And people basically have argued that, this was either fabricated to try and discredit Lou Elizondo, emphasizing Doty's unreliability. A lot of people stated that it was AI generated, though Doty himself has come out to state that this has not been AI manipulated whatsoever. He actually made those comments and he confirmed that, but later on stated that, did he actually say that? Or did he mean that necessarily? No. Now, there is also issues with Richard Doty's credibility. He's not exactly the most reliable source of information when it comes to these things. So he's a polarizing figure in the UFO circles from the information that I've gathered. So he's infamous for admitting he spread disinformation, notably targeting Paul Benowitz, in the 1980s, which contributed to Benowitz's mental breakdown. And he acknowledges fabricating UFO stories to protect classified military projects, while also claiming knowledge of real extraterrestrial programs, creating a paradox where his statements are inherently suspect. So, you know, he's not exactly the most credible of people to be coming out and accusing Lou Elizondo of not being credible, you know, and he's, you know, said himself or has been exposed himself for being like this agent of disinformation. And now he's coming out to try and claim that Lou is an agent of disinformation, which could be like a double bluff when you think that he's trying to discredit Lou for disinformation while spreading disinformation. It's a bit of a mindfuck, but do you get what I'm trying to say? Now, the alleged Doty Elizondo comments appear to be tied to a broader narrative of distrust within the UFO community, where figures like Elizondo are accused of being government plants to control disclosure. So, you know, there's a lot of people who reference Doty exposing Lou, but pivots to more extreme claims about military trading children for technology, whilst highlighting the sensationalism often surrounding Doty's involvement. And the lack of verifiable evidence combined with Doty's history of mixing the truth and falsehood makes it difficult to substantiate his claims and comments about Elizondo. So, you know, obviously that's quite a bold thing to claim, is, you know, people trading children for technology. So, yeah, it's difficult to know who's actually telling the truth in these circumstances and scenarios, because you've got Doty, who is claiming these absolutely like bold claims, children being traded for technology and other, you know, misinformation that he's spread to try and do this. But then you've also got Elizondo, who people initially and already do not trust, because he's presented 2 images to Congress, both of which have allegedly been debunked. And now you've got, obviously, his claims within his book, the whole narrative around his book, which was already a shady way for him to come into the industry. And, you know, that already kind of niggling uncertainty of isn't he a government plant to control disclosure. And then you've got, it's almost like a perfect storm. There's, you know, skepticism around Lou Elizondo. You get someone who's known for disinformation to discredit Lou Elizondo. And then it's a case of, well, is he, isn't he? And it's a perfect storm to create perfect divide. It's quite ingenious. It is. It really is quite ingenious. Because if you brought in someone credible to discredit Lou Elizondo, you would probably turn your nose up at it. But it creates this narrative in your mind of who's telling the truth, who's lying. And with Lou Elizondo staying really quiet on the situation, it's like, well, where do we stand with this, you know? Now, obviously, this is no better explained than in X posts, right? Where it perfectly represents the split sentiment. Some users see Doty's comments as evidence of Lou Elizondo's untrustworthiness, while others see them as another chapter in Doty's long history of deceit, aimed at showing aimed at sowing division within the community. And this has created quite the back and forth within the community, and ultimately, instead of creating this perfect unity to try and get disclosure, it's created a divide, which means that the focus is off disclosure and it's on, well, he's fake, no, he's fake, no, he's not telling the truth, well, he's not telling the truth, and here's why. And then, well, there's that why this person might not be telling the truth and this person is telling the truth. It's, you know, it's really difficult to keep up. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, jump to get the hell out of the like button and subscribe. Peace.